the tape for this, our main event of the evening. We introduce the champion, Chris, the West Side Strangler Brennan. Let's get it on!
What's up, guys? We are back to go over the recap of Bellator 289 this weekend. Great card.
It's a great card.
A lot of unexpected wins and losses.
Yeah.
I'll even go back real quick into some fights we didn't go over. Pat Downey, a world team member, real high-level wrestler. He was 1-0 and fought a guy that was 2-2, got knocked out. His wrestling struggled. He got a takedown at the beginning and then went for an anaconda and squeezed the life out of his own arms.
Oh, no.
And by the time they got back to the feet, he just got teed off on, couldn't get another takedown, and then got knocked out.
I saw. Could they have stopped that one a little earlier than it did? It looked like he was wobbly on his feet.
Yeah, he was, and he got dropped and got back to his feet and then got knocked out with the uppercut. For sure they're going to give him the chance. He's their guy, right? He's the guy that they're building up, and that was a rough night for him. Kyle Crutchmer, also Oklahoma State wrestler, All-American, very good wrestler, struggled. This is the second time I've seen him struggle with this body type. He won the decision the time before. He lost it last night. Taller guy, 6-foot guy. He's 5'8" at 170. So it's basically the same weight how I was when I was fighting, but they're just so much bigger now. But he struggled. He was 0 for 12, over 12 or 0 for 15 on takedowns.
Yeah.
And so,
Willis, I think Willis was keeping him at bay with the jabs too, right?
And had good sprawls and trains out of Sanford MMA, which is now Killcliff, and a good coach in Henry Hoof and those guys. So he looked good. Crutchmer struggled. It was a rough night for the red corner. Yeah. Early going. I guess now we'll go.
Well, Kai Kamaka.
So Kai looks sharp. Kai fights out of Hawaii. He's a son of one of my friends. Yep. And basically the whole family was there of the Coopers. Ray Cooper that fights in PFL, Ronald Jun, who also was a phenomenal fighter back in the day, and then Kai Senior and Kai Junior. But he looked great. I think he's now 4-1 in Bellator. And his leg kicks, his calf kicks were insane. Like, he was landing them so clean. Landed a really good like a snap kick to the midsection, kind of like Connor throws, and just broke the guy. And he got him out of there. It was a great fight. Kai looked awesome, and he's a 45er. Yeah. So,
Is that something you might run into at some point?
I would love to not fight Kai unless it was like for the #1 contender or the championship spot. Yeah. Just because I love the dude's family and him, and so it would be nice to not make that happen.
Sure.
Yeah, so he looked sharp. Then, I'll go over a real quick short story of Luke. We were obviously supposed to be on that card. I posted that we weren't, but I still had a lot of people messaging me last night asking.
Like, hey, when's he fighting?
Yeah, is he on the card? What's going on? And I was like, man, clearly you don't follow everything I say. We tried. We went through 20 people probably.
Really?
From the time we left Chicago, where that fight fell through, Bellator was on it, trying to get us a guy. They got us a guy within a week, so we had 2 weeks. Maybe it's a week and a half, because we had about a week and a half, I guess. And then that guy who we talked about was blind in his left eye. Yeah. The commission in Connecticut wasn't going to let him fight. So I was like, man, the guy had 16 fights, right? He's won 10 fights. Yeah. So whether it hinders him or not, he's doing well. And I don't know what states those were in, but it was unfortunate.
And it made me wonder, like, how was he even in the pool if he wasn't going to, clear the medical? Because this wasn't a surprise. I mean, everybody knew right from the beginning this guy had an eye issue. Right. So how did he end up even being in the pool?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And I wish it would have gotten declined right off the bat. Yeah. So we would have had more time to get somebody. I was literally on my way to Connecticut when I got the call, and I basically just stopped in Little Rock with Tyler. Yep. And was on the phone with Bellator all night, and then again from 4 in the morning till about 10 in the morning, and finally I was like, let's call it, and then they are now going to schedule us March 31st in California.
Okay, I was going to ask
March 31st in California, Pachanga.
Okay.
And things will get easier as we get to this next contract. We're going to fight two more fights on this contract, and then renegotiate and kind of break into the top guys, the better guys, the guys who you won't struggle to get yeses from, or really they don't have a choice at that point.
Yeah. Well, how is Luke doing? Is he eating now?
Yeah, he's back to big size Luke. He's bummed. He's definitely. We went through 14 weeks of camp.
It's a long time.
All the training at Glory, all the everything, and it was all for. I don't want to say for nothing, because the improvements that he made because of that training in that room and everything, and the coaching was 100% beneficial, and we'll continue to train like that, with good guys and stuff leading to the next fight. But it was tough.
It's mentally a lot of work, and it feels like that'd be just an emotional roller coaster. You have somebody, they fall through. You work, you get somebody again, they fall through, and you're just like.
There's no question. Like at the time when we found out of the, I forget the second guy's name. What was it that dropped out?
Yeah.
At that time, it was okay, so now we're taking just of a short notice fight as this guy is. You know what I mean? Like,
sure
we're in shape because we've had a camp, but now we have no idea, who we get to fight, just as much as this guy's got no idea. Yeah. Chances are he's going to get to see more footage of us than we will of him.
Sure.
And so it was definitely, kind of just like, tell me who I've got and okay,
Wow.
So at that point it was rough.
So
anyway,
March 31st,
Pechanga.
When will he start camp?
The January 8th.
Okay.
A week after the 1st, and I'll go to Tennessee on New Year's Eve. Tyler will wrestle the Southern Scuffle in the 1st and 2nd, and then I'll come back here and get started like that following weekend.
Awesome. So the first fight that we did talk about was CODY Law and Chris Lencioni. And this was important for you because this is, as you mentioned, you see these guys and Luke, seeing each other in the near future.
100%.
Did you learn anything watching this fight?
I did. I learned a lot, man. Chris Lencioni's tough. He is a guy that runs his mouth the entire fight, leading up to the fight, during the fight. He's basically the 145 Sabatello.
Yeah.
He's good. He's got more skills than Sabatello. He doesn't have the wrestling that he does, but he's got, solid jiu-jitsu, pretty decent striking, decent enough striking because he's not too afraid of you shooting on him because the jiu-jitsu is pretty solid. CODY Law, so he has good stand-up. He just didn't look good striking last time. I don't know if it's because he was worried about Lencioni's length or what the problem was. Lencioni is Luke's height. CODY Law is my height, and maybe not even my height. It says 5'8", but I think he's probably closer to 5'7". He didn't let the hands go or pull the trigger at all like I've seen him do in the past, and I feel like he could have. He ended up getting hurt. He ended up getting sit on his butt, I think, in the first round, briefly, and then back up. Got takedowns, but Lencioni was tough on his back. So the decision was, people didn't know who was going to win because all the control went to CODY Law.
Correct.
With the wrestling, top position, grinding, but he didn't do any damage when he was on top.
Yep.
Chris was punching and elbowing and setting up subs from the bottom, and it's something I tell Luke, and I heard his corner say, hey, one sub, go for one sub. If you don't get it, and you start working on getting up, and his coach was telling him to start getting up. And I give like a 30-second window to Luke. If we ever end up on bottom, 30 seconds, blast submachine gun subs at him. If you get one, lock it up. If you don't, it's time to get up because you're losing, or you have to just constantly be busy attacking, submissions. And Chris was pretty busy attacking stuff. So it was rough, basing off what the judges were going to look for, which carried into later on in the night as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was – so CODY Law, we talked about this on the last podcast. CODY Law just got bumped out of the rankings when Daniel Weichel lost to Teamer. Teamer got moved in. Weichel got moved back to number 9. Jeremy Kennedy got moved forward in front of Weichel and in front of Teamer. So CODY got bumped out.
Yep.
Chris Lencioni wasn't ranked at all. So I figured CODY was 6-1. We're 7-0. If CODY won and we didn't get to fight, had we got to fight, we'd have stayed.
Yep.
But since we didn't get to fight, and I thought if CODY won, he might come back in and bump us out. I wanted him to win, not for that reason. I just wanted to win because Lencioni's the 45 Sabatillo, and you know how I feel about him. But I was interested. You know, if CODY lost, I knew Lencioni wasn't going to break into the rankings, and I knew CODY wasn't going to come in now. So we're kind of solid sitting at number 10, which is cool. We're not trying to move forward to that. And again, we weren't even trying to fight to get into the rankings yet. But now that we're there, I'm kind of wanting to be like, hey, everybody stay back.
Well, and I texted you something, and you even texted back that a bunch of people blew you up. The ESPN did an article of the top 25 fighters under 25.
Yep.
And I recognized the guy at number 16.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. As soon as you messaged me, you're like, have you seen that? And I'm like, literally minutes before you sent it to me, like 8 people sent it to me. And then as the day went on, more. But I had not seen it until, you know, right before that. That's a pretty cool thing because it's a mix of weight classes. It's a mix of organizations.
Yes.
It's got a Bellator guy's number 1 on the list with Usman Nurmagomedov.
Yep.
And he's 20. He might be 22 also.
Okay.
He's very young.
Maybe
Maybe 24. I think he's 24.
Female too. I mean,
Yeah,
it was.
it was across the board. So it was nice to be in that. Again, a surprise to him, I'm sure. But I told him, I said, you know, that's not a media group favoring you. That's not Bellator favoring you. That is Brett Okamoto from ESPN putting this together and recognizing you. You belong there, you know. And I said, now let's try to be, you know, number 1 before you're out of the 25 range. You know, let's try to move up that list.
Yeah.
Since you're on it. So, I mean, he's got a couple years left still. He's got all the way till the middle of next year before he turns 23. So,
he's got some time.
Yeah, for sure.
Something I saw interesting going back to the CODY Law Lencioni fight. I think it was it might have been in round 3. CODY had his legs. I think he was kind of working for a body triangle and it wasn't there. And he started kicking. I feel like he was kicking the back of Lencioni, and the ref stopped him and
So
said,
you can't kick the spine.
Okay. I had never heard of that before.
Yeah, you can't kick the spine. Actually, like Hoist Gracie back in the day used to kick to the kidneys that way. And I believe that is also not legal anymore for some reason. You know, like if someone's hitting you somewhere, move.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to get hit there, move.
Yeah.
If you can't get hit there, I mean, if you can't get out, you know, then maybe the fight ends up getting stopped or something, or if it's that bad. But it, yeah, I hate the illegal strikes. We had a ref ref at a local event we were just at recently tell me that 12 sits, 6 elbows are not legal.
Right.
11:45, you know,
You're good to go.
Or right here is good to go. Just make sure there's a little bit of an arc on them. Like, bro, just let us throw the freaking elbows, right? Like, people won't stay in those positions anymore.
Yeah.
They won't fight in those positions where that's legal, you know, so it'll change the face of things, which is good. You know, it's a good thing. I think, you know, if knees to the head were legal on the ground, people would be forced to play jiu-jitsu as well. And I'm sure that's why they took them away, because that's less jiu-jitsu for the crowd.
Yeah.
You know, like, if Dan Miragliotta ever refs one of Lucas's fights, me and him are going to have a sit down before the fight, because, dude, he was standing guys up with 15, 20 seconds on the ground.
Yeah.
They'd be against the fence pummeling 15, 20 seconds, and he's breaking them apart. And I'm like, bro, like, this goes back to stand-ups. If my guy's on the ground and you can't get up, get better, right? Get better. I lost that way, you know, and what I had to do, I had to get better.
Yep.
And so with all the, not to touch on any of this, but with all the betting issues that are going on right now,
Yep.
what if Miragliotta bet that the guy on bottom was going to win and he was a better striker? So he keeps standing him up, giving that guy a chance to knock the guy out on top of him.
Yeah.
But it's like, again, what if I can't take him down? Ref, are you going to help me put him on the ground? Because you're helping him up. Can you help me down? You know, it's a very bad, I get that it's a for show, you know, and I get it's
a marketing.
Yeah, sure. But don't use the guys anymore if that's what you don't want.
Yeah.
You know, don't use them anymore. But if once they're fighting, man, let them fight.
And it's interesting. We'll talk about it a little bit later on, but that knee to the head while you're down came into play in this.
Yes,
you know,
it did. That was clear, blatant. Like,
Yeah.
should have taken a point. Should have taken a point, and then that fight would have been a wrap. But it was not an accident. He was down on 3 or 4. Like he had a foot, a knee, a hand, all on the ground. And when he threw that knee, I was just like, bro, that was straight to the face.
Yep.
Anyway.
So for Cody Law and Lencioni,
Cody moves to 6-2 now.
Yep.
All in Bellator. I'm not sure what happens to him now. Lencioni had said, because when he took that fight, Law was number 9. And when he said when he beats him, he's just going to start calling out all the ranked guys in front of him. Well, now Cody wasn't ranked and he beat him. We're the next ranked guy. So I don't know if he calls us out or how that works out, but I see at some point, maybe two to 3 fights from now, that's our guy.
Let's see when he goes to 10-3, and it looks like 7 of the. I'm sorry, so that's 13 fights at 10-3, and 10 of those fights are in Bellator. So he's. I'm sorry, I lied. He's got some Bellator. Then he went to FAC, BT,
he got
Road
cut
Promotions,
and
then came back. I'm sorry. So looks like about half of those. Yeah, that'll be really interesting. I did not know Lencioni talked that much. The whole fight. I mean,
woo.
Yeah. Well, and he got kicked in the leg, and he's like, "Oh, ow," and then kept going. It was just.
His nickname's Sunshine.
Sunshine. Yep. There you go. The next fight was the first of 2 for the Bantamweight Grand Prix. PATCHY Mix and Magomed Magomedov, and this did not go the way that I expected.
So real quick, I'm going to shout out an apology to PATCHY because he started following me yesterday and liked my reel when I talked about how big he was because he looked so much bigger than Luke, yes. Yeah. But man, when he got in the cage, he still looked so much bigger than Magomedov. Magomedov.
Yep.
Sorry. They're all Nurmagomedov.
I know.
Whatever. Megamind. Anyway, so I at least said I typically will not bet against the Russian guys, but I hoped that PATCHY would win.
Yeah.
Right? And I did hope that he would win, and he did. He surprised, he finished him. He put him to sleep with a really nice switch guillotine. He had an anaconda or arm in guillotine set up, looked like he was set up an anaconda, let his arm out, and then went with like a just real high, almost rear naked choke from the front style guillotine and put him to sleep. I love all the Dagestani guys and the Russian guys. I was super stoked to see one get submitted.
Yeah.
Because now I know that it's possible and we can sub one of them, you know? And he was tough, man. He had a great record. PATCHY looked great. I honestly think PATCHY now runs away with the tournament. I think we'll get to the last fight, but I think he submits Stotts.
Yeah. PATCHY looks so good. And again, when he had that submission, and he moved around and he adjusted it, and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty deep. And you could see that Magomed was moving, and then you saw one last leg kick, and then everything just stopped.
Then the referee grabbed his arm
and it was just, it was WWE style, man.
Yeah.
Like it was.
I was like, oh man, he's out.
Done.
Wow,
he's done. I like how PATCHY carries himself.
Sure,
it seems like he's just got a level head on his shoulders.
He does.
The interview, you hear a lot of people don't get too high, don't get too low. Yeah. He was emotional when he won, which I think was awesome. But then during the post-fight interview, just chill.
Yeah.
During the fight, he's just a whole lot of chill happening. Just seemed like everything was.
That's a guy who carries, like he's not afraid to fight off his back also because he's so slick. And so that's how he ended up going for subs like that. A lot of guys won't give up that position to go for the sub, but he knew he had it, when he started to lock it up and just kind of fell off to the side, and Magomed had to roll twice, 2 different times. And then the second one, it was a wrap. It finished it.
Had he tried for a submission in the first round as well? Was that? I feel like I remember a fight where Big John was like, "Don't burn out your arms, don't burn out." And I felt, it was that one.
He may have. Okay. He may have had another arm in guillotine. If you remember back to him and James Gallagher, they both guillotined each other about 4 times. and then, or 3 times, and then Patchy finished the guillotine at the end. James Gallagher, I've trained with him, Luke's trained with him, solid guillotines. I watch him choke a lot of guys with guillotines, and then Patchy choked him. So it was. I think he beat Stotts. I think Stotts is a stud, but I just don't think he gets past Patchy. I think Patchy wins that $1 million. Plus, he dates my favorite female fighter, Tatiana Suarez.
Yeah.
Phenomenal wrestler.
And they even talked about it. I mean, she's been helping him.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal wrestler. Carlos Barza, UFC champ.
Yeah,
best wrestler in division.
Okay,
aside from what's her name? Tatiana ran her over, wrestled her to death for 3 rounds, and I was just like, whoa, this girl's wrestling is legit. And that's a fight that I saved for me and Luke to rewatch a lot of times, just because of some of the things that she uses in her fight.
Well, be interesting to see what dinner looks like at that house.
Yeah.
That brings us to the first of 2 title fights, Liz Carmouche and Velasquez. Boy,
Liz removed all the doubt, huh?
Removed all of the doubt. What'd you think of Juliana? How did she look in your opinion? To me, she looked a little afraid.
She looked like a poor sport, right? Like, I've seen guys' arms get broken in half and stand there while the guy's arm gets raised before they walk out. She just walked straight out, and they said she's going to get medical attention. What she went to do is have a temper tantrum because she lost the fight, and Liz proved that it wasn't a fluke the first time, and she made it look easy.
Yeah,
she made it look pretty easy.
Yep, it was late in the second round.
Yeah.
The post-fight interview, Liz was saying that she heard it popping, and when you saw her sink that in, did you know right away that was it?
I knew there was no way she was getting out. And then I saw her arch on it a little bit, and I was like, man, she's not going to tap. She's going to get her arm broke. Then I watched Carmouche adjust a little bit, and then I watched her hip go 4 or 5 inches more while her arm stayed on her chest. I was like, her arm's jacked.
That's it.
And, yeah, it was.
Carmouche holds this belt for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, she asked for a 135-pound weight class, and asked to fight Alimale McFarland. Alimale, I thought, is a small 25er. I thought she looked small to Juliana Velasquez when they fought, and that was at 25. So I don't know why Alimale would want to move to 35.
It was she called it a retirement fight. Is Alimale hanging it up? I thought I heard her say want to go to Hawaii for her retirement fight.
Yeah, maybe. And then she wanted to fight Sudoku. I forget the Japanese girl's name. There's a really tough Japanese girl too, but I didn't think she was a 35er either. So maybe she was coming back 25. I'm not sure. That was a weird call out.
Yeah,
but like at the time, who's she gonna call out or who's she gonna fight because? They're 25ers, right? Not 35ers.
Yeah, they're 25ers.
Yeah,
that's right.
so there's no weight class in between, and then the next thing up is Cyborg, right?
Yeah.
And she's not gonna go. No wonder she's like, let's make that weight class in between there. I'm gonna avoid that at all costs.
Yeah. So Velasquez goes to 12-2. Both of her losses are to Liz.
Yep.
Liz is now 18-7. Obviously the champ, and feels like she might be there for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see who beats her there right now. And she looks good, man. I'm stoked for her kind of late in her career to be able to come over here and perform well and do well and become a champion.
Yeah. Well, this gets to what the fight for me was a fight of the night for sure.
Yeah.
Stotts and Danny Sabatello. As soon as they even got in the ring, it was just, there was just animosity the whole way through this.
I can tell you that the most exciting part of Danny Sabatello's fighting is his talking before the fight because he is not an exciting fighter.
Nope.
The score was all over the place, right? Like one ref had it 50-45 for Sabatello.
Yep.
Then the other two had it 29-20,
48-47.
48-47 for Stotts. Now, I had it either way. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell because I didn't know what the judges were looking at. However, I then went back to the CODY Law and Lencioni fight, and I said, man, if the same judges are judging that judge that fight, Stotts going to win the fight.
Yep.
John McCarthy thought Stotts won the fight.
Yep.
He definitely did more to win the fight. He definitely did more. He outstruck him at least 2-1 on the head strikes, and I think body strikes. I don't even remember.
So I pulled this up. Total strikes 90 for Stotts, 43 for Sabatello. And then punches were 56-22. Elbows were 15-0.
Yeah.
And then leg kicks were 9 for Stotts and 10 for Sabatello.
Okay, so he outstruck him basically everywhere.
Oh, Sabatello got one more knee. 10 for Stotts, 11 for Sabatello.
Okay. So the difference is he outstruck him by double in most spots, even in a couple spots. Sabatello had 10 minutes of control time. Stotts had like 39 seconds or 40-something seconds.
Yeah.
It was very – so we're in a position, again, where I'm like, if my guy's on top, I want the decision. If my guy's on bottom, I want the decision, right? You're going to argue that either way.
Yep.
So Stotts had a knee bar on him. He landed way more strikes.
How close was that knee bar?
They looked tight. It looked very tight. I was like, oh man. But then at the same on him was like, don't blow your arms out. You know, don't blow your arms out trying to squeeze it.
Yep.
But I think he faded a little bit, but I also think Sabatello did. Sabatello sat down after the first round and was pointing at his arms for Mike Brown to start rubbing his arms because he looked like he had arm pump. And he started doing that every round. And it's because he fights holding the whole time. Like, had he punched more and wrestled less, or held on a little less, might not have been so tired, but his arms looked gassed because of it. He's going to outpoint most guys. You know, he's going to outpoint most guys in the wrestling department, takedown department.
Control. Right, and even Big John was saying, I mean, it looked like he was going for cradles. And I mean, it looked like he was trying to pin him almost.
Luke uses a cradle to set up an anaconda.
Okay.
Luke used a cradle to set up a sweep. He used a cradle for a lot of things. Not to hold a guy, not to cradle a guy, right? And he was just holding the cradle and not really getting anywhere with it. And I know Stotts is a stud wrestler as well, but that's a clear sign. So all those takedowns, imagine if Sabatello had Luke's jiu-jitsu with those takedowns.
Yeah.
Right? Like it wouldn't have taken more than 1 or 2 takedowns.
Yeah.
He has to continue to get all those takedowns because he's got no finishing. You know, he can't finish. And Stotts said that at the weigh-ins. He goes, you haven't finished anybody in your life. And he did win decisions to get to him through the tournament.
Yeah.
And, you know, he even took Jornell Lugo.
Yeah.
Was a short notice fight for Jornell, and he still went the distance with him.
Yeah.
You know? So it was he's just not exciting. So when it came to the judges, I was like, man, he might win. But if they want to see an exciting champion and they don't want this as the champion, he's not winning.
Yeah.
You know, and again, one judge had it all 5 rounds for him, which is
mind-boggling to me.
Guys drinking backstage. And then the other 2 had it accurate. It could have been accurate either direction.
Yeah, I could have gone 48, 47 either way.
I wouldn't have been mad. I would have been mad because Sabatello won, but I wouldn't have been mad at the judges had it gone that either way the same. That's the problem with having an opinionated judge, right? Your judges are based off opinions, not based off actual points.
Yes.
You know, so I think it was, you know, the one guy wanted to see Sabatello ride for 5 rounds and the other guys wanted to see finishes.
I was really surprised at this statistic. Danny Sabatello went 4 for 19 on his takedowns. I'm not surprised at the number. We saw that. It was very, very evident. I was surprised at Stotts' takedown defense. And even at one point, I think it was like the 3rd or maybe the 4th round, Sabatello feinted a shoot.
And he sprawled.
And Stotts hit the ground, and Sabatello started pointing at him. Like,
I mean, okay, but I've stopped all your takedowns out in the middle. So Sabatello could not take down Stotts in the middle, right? So in a wrestling room where there's no walls and they're wrestling, he's not taking him down. What happened was he had stopped probably 7 in a row and looked good. And I kept saying, he started to grab front headlocks on him. I was like, dude, don't grab his neck. Sprawl and get back up, you know? But every time he tried to re-wrestle him, he ended up on bottom. So finally, he's out in the middle, keeping Sabatello's back to the fence. Perfect, you know, because then once he shoots, he has all that space to sprawl.
Yeah.
And he did it. Then he sprawled on him once, jumped on his neck. Sabatello turned him around and now he's standing with his back to the fence, shot him in the fence.
Yeah.
He took him down, I want to say every time, or almost every time, was against the fence. He was very strong against the fence.
Yep.
Had great takedowns on the wall there, but out in the middle he couldn't do it. So anytime Stotts would start to circle and get his back down, dude, get your back away from the fence. Like that's where you're losing. That's where you're losing the fight.
Yeah.
You know, and you're beating him out in the middle. And Sabatello even landed a few decent punches out in the middle because you're worried about that shot. You know, you don't want to get taken down. So you're ready to sprawl.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say, if you go here first,
yeah,
you're going to get knocked out.
Yeah.
You got to block here, like down block, like block to the forearms to the shoulders first, so that if it was not a shot and it was a punch coming, your hands are still here to block.
Sure.
You know, if it was a fake. So it gets frustrating, but it's also goes to show, even on two high-level wrestlers, if you want to punch the guy that bad and he wants to wrestle that bad, he's going to take you down, you know, and he did. He took him down, you know, against the wall. Once he got him to the wall, he took him down over and over again. He just couldn't do it out in the center. And that's kind of why I talk sometimes about fight and pride in the ring over fighting in the UFC cage. In the ring, you got to have that. You got to be able to take him down without the fence, you know, without the wall. You can use the rope a little bit, like in the corner, but for the most part, you got to get that takedown in the middle. And that's where it takes a lot more skill of wrestling. Your wrestling's got to be on point.
I'm looking at, and we'll talk about it when it gets there, you know, Stotts versus PATCHY Mix. I think that is the more exciting championship.
Absolutely.
Think those fighters look awesome. It was cool to see them in the ring. There didn't seem to be any bad blood. I think they were both excited. They were talking a little bit.
Here's Stotts. He said, "Man, you look great tonight. Oh, you look great tonight too. You know I'm about to start talking some shit, right?" That's what he knew. Here comes the setup. Man, I would love if that final was on that March 31st card in California. That'd be great to be on that card since we missed this round of it.
Neither of them took much damage. I mean, I know that's quick, but you look at the two fighters and neither of them took a lot of damage.
I mean, they have over 3 months. They'll have 3 months. We're 2 weeks from starting camp, so no, we're more. They'll have plenty. Almost 4 months.
I don't know if this was just this fight or if Bellator does this, but the time between the last bell at the end of round 5 and the time they announced the decision on this fight, it felt like it was like 20 minutes. I know it was like probably 2 or 3.
So that happened twice last night. I forget the other fight that happened in. But anytime that happens, you're almost, actually it was Lencioni and Law, you're almost certain it's a split decision.
Okay.
But at the same time, you judge the fight round by round. When the round is over,
that's it.
You have 1 minute to make sure you put your score down before the next one starts. So why is there more time at the end of the 3rd round or the end of the 5th round?
Yeah.
What can you do? All you have to do is add up 3 rounds or 5 rounds and it's done. You can't go back and change your opinion of one of those rounds. You know, you've already put that in. So I have no idea that's where like things get very sketchy in judging, because how do you score round 1 before round 2 starts, 2 before 3, 3 before 4, 4 before 5, but after 5, you now need 10 minutes to figure out who won the fight.
Yeah.
That sounds like BS. That sounds like something's going on.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why can't you finish that? Why can't you score that last round
in a minute?
In 1 minute, just
hand
like you
over
do
that
the other
card
ones.
and you're done.
Yeah, it's done. I don't know if it's all on paper. They should have just a boom, you put it in at the end of the round, can't change it. Boom, put it in at the end of the round, can't change it.
Oh, that'd be like a computer. You submit it on a computer, you hit submit, and that's it. That, you know. It's like voting or something.
Yeah,
you know?
like voting.
You cast your vote, that's it.
Well, why don't they use like a Dominion machine? There would be no sketchiness with that.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, it felt like that took.
Yeah,
it took
if you
forever.
think about it like that, break it down.
Yeah.
By round, why does the last round take so much longer?
My wife came in and was talking to me about a couple of things, and I'm waiting, and she's talking, and I'm totally just not even listening. I'm just like, they could announce it, and finally I'm just like, give me just 1 second. I just want to find out who won this fight, and she was awesome about it, but and I leapt off the couch. I was when they went 50-45 Sabatello, I was like,
you're thinking, well, the other two can't be that far off.
Yeah,
so
I was like, what? I'm like, oh, that sucks. And then, it was one for Stotts, and I'm like, okay. And then when the other one came back for Stotts, I'm like, and even when they said that, I'm like, 50-45, really? Like, I don't know, man. So I was super excited. I'm glad that I don't have to listen to Sabatello anymore. He did, to his credit, he did come out and do the press conference afterwards. I listened to a little bit.
I have not watched that yet. I'm going to have to go watch it for sure.
One of the first questions they asked is, hey, the loser doesn't have to come out and do this. Why did you come out? He goes, I do what I do regardless if I win or lose. This is, I'm going to come out and do it. And then he just went off. And it was funny because...
Did he think he won?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to go back and watch it. I think I won. My team thinks I won. It was, how does one judge see it 50-45 and the other see it 48-47? But he anchored on the 50-45, saying that was what was right.
Right.
And discounted
that was
the
definitely
other
not
two.
right.
Yeah.
That was definitely no matter what, even if he won 3 of the 5, he did not win 5 of the 5. So that wasn't correct
100%.
Regardless. But
and I think it goes back to what we talked about with Lencioni that and Cody Law. Yeah, he had control, but he didn't do anything with
nothing.
it. No damage. He did say, I think it was in round 5 when Stotts was getting that. I think it was a left elbow that was going over and hitting him. He was like, that was hitting my shoulder. That wasn't even hitting my head.
It bloodied his head.
And I'm like, really? Really?
Yeah, literally turned his bleached hair
pink.
I was like, come on, bro.
Those were connecting.
Yeah.
So I do give him a little bit of credit. He did come out. He did take the press conference. He answered the questions. He was also a punk when he was done. Like, they weren't done, and he answered the last question and threw the mic down on the table and just got up and that was it. So.
We'll see what he has next. Who he gets. He'll get someone obviously that had lost through the tournament already.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see who he fights.
He's talented, one-dimensional talented fighter.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they even talked about it. I think it was Big John that was saying, look, there are, maybe it was you. Somebody was saying there are a lot of one-dimensional fighters, and that's fine that they're one-dimensional, but you got to stop that one dimension because they're very, very good at it. I mean, you got to find a way to stop it, and a lot of, up to this point, people hadn't found a way to stop them.
Yeah.
So it's great. It was a great night.
It was. Lencioni, I want to say Lencioni got a takedown on Cody Law as well. I forget, but I believe he ended up on top of him through some position. And I took so much out of all the fights last night.
Yeah.
And just kind of place us in those positions.
Yeah.
And I think we
taking notes,
have a solid career going as well. Moving forward.
Super exciting. Well, the next time we'll be up is after the UFC event.
Yeah, that's gonna be another crazy night.
Yeah, it's a good weekend.
Awesome. See you guys next time.
It is all over, just like that.